I like this car. I don't like the seat. Toyota, if there's one thing I'd like it changed, it's the seat. But then I am going to accept that my proportions are not the majority of people. They're not the majority of buyers. And so if it works for most people, then you know what? I can't have too much of a problem there. The only thing I would say though, and the reason the camera is over here and why you've got this angle of me today, is we couldn't put it in the middle of the screen. If I had, you would see probably half of the top of my head because it'd be cut off by the rear view mirror, and you wouldn't be able to see my chest at all because it would be being cut off by the screen. Some unhappy people in traffic, in Sydney traffic today. It is Friday, so everyone's trying to get somewhere, I guess. But yeah, that was my only gripe with it, is that that's a real bit of an oversight to me, is you've made it so that it's not got as good a visibility in what could then become a bit of a blind spot, especially if you're stopped on a corner with traffic and you've got a crossing with people going here. If your head's up here like mine is, you can't quite see if someone's off, and you've got to sort of tilt your head around and move around to really get a view on them. A little bit of an oversight from my point, but maybe Toyota will come up with with something better. I'd say just a smaller rear view mirror would probably do it. Anyway, onto the car review. So I tried to record earlier a few things that I thought were a disadvantage of this car, and that should have been at the start of the video, but I managed to leave the indicator on for 2 minutes solidly while I was stuck in city traffic, which meant that all you could hear for the whole time was as I was talking. So a little bit of editing miles coming in now, and hopefully I'll still use my indicators to be nice and legal, but I will try, if I am stopped for a long period of time, to not leave them on, or at least just pull over. Big disadvantages for me. One, the seat. I already mentioned it before I got in the car. I just think it fits like a shell on your back, and for me, I think depending on your posture, if you're very straight in your posture in your back, it sort of forces you to curve inwards and forwards like that. The headrest, I think, is too far forward. My head's pressed up against it right now, and that's as far back as it would go. I know why Toyota do it. It's for safety, for whiplash protection, etc. But it's not nice to do a long drive where your head feels like it's tilted forward the whole time. If you're a little bit shorter, maybe it's not such an issue, but for me, yeah, I just think move the headrest, at least allow it to be moved back an inch, and that would be a lot more comfortable. Oh no, he's indicating, oh no, hold on, there's a Jeep. That bus nearly completely grounded out there, wow. Yeah, we'll go down here. It's probably not the right way. In fact, it looks like it's definitely not the right way. I should have Sam here. He's usually captain sense of direction, although he usually gets us lost. Sam in his area of contemplation. Tell you what, great view of Sydney City over there. I don't know if I've picked it up on the camera. If I have, then I'll show it to you quickly, because it really is a lovely view. One thing though I have to really commend Toyota on, so many cars get suspension wrong, especially in this sort of, I won't say cheaper end, but if you're working around the budget end of a hatchback, because a lot of the time you haven't got independent rear suspension, because they are not doing double wishbone suspension, things like that, they don't need to. Most people probably wouldn't notice the difference, especially at the speeds they're going to be driving, but it can take some comfort out of the ride. Toyota seems to get it just about right, where you feel the road enough. Okay, it's electric power steering, but you still have a feel for the road, but not so much that it becomes completely uncomfortable. And I've gone the wrong way and tried to turn into a military base. Yeah, they would have been very happy to see me, wouldn't they? Some bloke here on his tourist holiday. Oh, there's another Corolla, and it looks like a rental car doing the exact same thing as me. So at least I wouldn't have been the only one to annoy them today. Yes, they just get the ride just about right. Let's say it's you know, it's not challenging Ferrari or anyone like that, but from a perspective of comfort, direct enough feel that you can get around. You don't feel like it's too vague. A lot of cars now are starting to fall into the trap of feeling too vague. It's not doing any of that. So, thumbs up to Toyota on that one. Is anyone going to mind? Yes, old. Oh, yeah, these are the Holdens that were made before they stopped building them here. Love those Holdens. We did get them in the UK, just in case you are wondering. They were sold as Monaro. Oh, actually, I don't know if on that generation if they were just called a GTS, but we'd know them as Monaros. Very rare to find though. Unfortunately, we seem to just buy Audis and BMWs instead. Okay, 50, 60,000 pound Vauxhalls because they were rebranded for the UK. Probably weren't ever going to do that well, but they're great to see over here, and yeah, I kind of miss them. I see them occasionally in the UK, and I think, ah, do love a Holden, especially that generation. I've told the story before where I had one of those generations when I was here. I was driving it up to Newcastle, was really late for a hotel. It was one of these sort of, you know, a couple owned it. They were an older Australian couple, saw me turn up in the thing. I'd kept them up, so they weren't that happy at first to see me. Saw me in this new Holden. The bloke had an old Holden. He really wanted to step in one of the new ones. So I was like, yeah, jump in it, have a little go, you know. And we made friends after that. He was happy to see me every day that I was there. So yeah, just great to see them. This hybrid system, I think more and more cars should just adopt a small hybrid system. I know a lot of people want to push for full EVs, they want to push for full battery cars, but just a small battery pack. I think Toyota came out and they said that for every 95 Corollas they build, you could build one Tesla Model 3 from the materials that go into the battery. That's not to knock electric cars or anything else like that, but it's here where people really talk about, you know, pollution, air pollution, people breathing in exhaust fumes. Yes, exhaust fumes are nowhere near what they were 30 years ago. Diesel exhaust emissions since Euro 6 came in around 2015, 2016 have cleaned up no end. Major difference is you're not going to get people out of their cars just by saying take public transport. Cars are just easier, and as much as I don't mind getting a good tram system, or they've got the light rail here, they've got a reasonably good train system. Okay, it's not London's Underground, but you know what, it's pretty good, and the buses all connect up. The fact of the matter is, getting a car is just easier, and as a human race, we don't really pick things that are worse. You know, if someone says you can have this or you can have this, this one is better, but this one is better for other people or whatever else, most people just pick the one that is better for them. Cars are just more comfortable, easier, apart from parking in the city, but you can play your own music, you're in your own space. So if we are going down that route, and as we have done for the last 100 years, having cars that at least answer as many questions as possible, I think that's the way we should be leaning and going towards right this minute. The fact that there are so many of these on the road, the fact that right now, as I said, as I've crawled along and I've got, well, pedestrians would be crossing in front of me, unfortunately you probably can't see it on the camera, I'm not emitting anything out of the exhaust right this second. As I get going in a minute, and as I did a trip to, same truck, as I did a trip to Newcastle, which is like 150 kilometers up the coast and back down, I was using the engine and the hybrid system to maximize fuel economy, but also I didn't have to worry about, oh, when I get there, where have I got to charge, everything else like that. I'm just going to go through a couple of bits on specification, and something these, I know some people may take them for granted and they'll think, well, yeah, they should just come with that anyway. But as I say, this is built to a price point. Toyota have to sell these around the world in lots of different markets. They can't just say, well, let's, you know, sell one that's really, really, really basic in one market and then just hope for the best and put specification in another. Of course, there is variations across the markets, but what they do here and what they give, I mean, I've got a speed note on the dashboard here, which is telling me the speed, which is very useful. If you're in a city that you don't know that well, yeah, obviously I did used to live in Australia and I lived in Sydney, but the speed limits have changed since I lived here. So it's not like I can just take for granted that I know all of the speed limits everywhere. So just to have a little marker there that says, oh, you're in an 80-kilometre zone. Oh, cool. Well, then I know what I'm doing. And Australia being a country that has really increased their speed awareness, you know, there's the amount of speed limits, speed check zones, police speed check zones, speed cameras, having that is really, really useful. Also, I can see when it cuts into EV mode, and pretty much every time that I'm coasting, I'm going into EV mode, which to me says, well, there's a lot of energy that's being saved in this drive, you know, that I'm doing. If I'm going 10 kilometers and I manage to do 3 or 4 of those kilometers on the battery, that's 3 or 4 kilometers that otherwise would be being done on, well, fossil fuels, petrol, essentially. I don't know if these are equipped to run on E85. I did have a little look, couldn't find a definitive answer. They do run on E10, 10% ethanol, 90% regular unleaded. They think they would run on the 91 unleaded over in Australia as well, but they have E10 on the flat. So, and E10 was the cheapest fuel to get when I filled up. So there's another bonus there. And again, if it has that amount of flexibility to use some ethanol within the fuel, you're just broadening the market. So I think Toyota continue to do something that other manufacturers, you know, you can't knock the fact that the Volkswagen Golf goes across to a lot of markets. Ford did try with the Focus, they took it over to the US, but ultimately that's really a European specification vehicle for the most part. They do have them over in Australia as well. But this car feels like it could just be dropped. You know, put the steering wheel on the other side, it could just go into any market and have the specification that most people will expect, surprise a few people in some markets with the specification that it has, and at the same time be able to deliver the one thing that is really important from personal transportation, and that's do it as cheaply as possible, make it run as cheaply as possible, and while you're at it, make it so that it's as reliable as possible. Because there's some people out there who are buying this car who might be, you know, 500 kilometers away from their nearest Toyota dealer. And in countries like Australia, that really is the case, that you could be hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away from the dealer. So, yeah, I think saying best car in the world is difficult, but it's why I put it as the thumbnail title, because what do you want from the best car that's out there? Do you want it to be the fastest? Do you want it to be the most luxurious? Ultimately, most of the cars that are the fastest, the most luxurious, the best to go off-road, they're probably out of the budget of 90% of people. And so, can they really be the best car in the world if most people can't get hold of them? To me, that's where a lot of these, you know, great cars fall short. If you're just not able to buy them, well, they can't be that great then. The Corolla, yeah, it's not like it's going to set the world on fire for its acceleration, but it is going to be able to be bought by the vast majority of people in the markets that it goes to. Yeah, not everyone, of course, but the vast majority are going to be able to sort of do the cost analysis and say, do you know what, actually, I can probably, you know, swing that. And the fact that it can do a genuine, and I mean a genuine 60 plus miles per gallon. In fact, for some of the city traffic that we've been doing, where you'd expect a car to do much, much less because you're stopping and starting, that's actually where it's been most impressive. Anyway, thanks for watching this one. I really hope you've enjoyed this. If you disagree, fine, let me know. If you agree, if you've owned one, if you're thinking of buying one, just let us know what you think of it. As I say, my opinion probably won't change on this. I think for the majority of people that just want a car, this is the car to buy. And if that's the advice you're giving to the majority of car buyers, since these are, say, the best-selling car in the world, then kind of makes it the best car in the world, doesn't it? All right, guys. Until next time, have a great day, and we'll see you again. Be the director of the miles driven. Yeah. How it like, if I said, if I was to ask you the most popular car in the world or popular sports, this is the most popular car in the world, so surely wouldn't this? It's got planes and whatever's in this bush making a load of noise when I'm trying to record.